Hello everyone, my name is Binks and welcome back to Let's Play Paranormasight, the 7 Mysteries of Honjo. Last episode, we finished off our first section under the protagonist Harue Shigima's section, not dreams. And I was debating if I was going to jump around and just like have an introduction of each of these guys. But I think I might do at least one more of hers before jumping just because, I don't know. I have a feeling, I will say this. If we were to play, like keep playing hers through all the way, I have a feeling because of how these games go, we might get either stuck or we might go too far and without enough information, basically. So I feel like it's kind of smarter in these kind of games to get like a little distance in one person's, and if you can, like in this game, jump around, then maybe you can gain a little bit of information through other people as well before like continuing to finish off one person's storyline. At least that's how I think of things. I know that like that might bother some people, and some people are like, no, you should just stick with one person, finish theirs until you hit that roadblock, and then, you know, move from there. But we'll see. Maybe I'm right and the roadblock will happen right here, or maybe it'll be further down the line, or maybe there won't be a roadblock. But I at least want to do this one, a nice thought, and then I think next episode or two, I might jump to the next person. So we'll see. I will decide. A nice thought. So basically, she spoke to her private eye that she hired to investigate her son's murder, and he finally got a lead, and unfortunately, because it's the dead of night, he can't really pursue it yet, so he might as well help us with this whole curse stone thing. So, summary of previous events. Despite having obtained the curse of the haunting clappers, Harue Shigima is determined to use the rite of resurrection by stealing the remaining curse stones. She instructs her private investigator Richter to find the other curse bearers. Interesting. Because he was very like, I don't want to help you murder people, but as long as you swear you're not going to kill people and you stay home, then we're good. But I'm like, it's a little naive of him, really. Does he really think she's going to be patient and just be a good girl and stay there? She is desperate. She is so desperate to save her son and bring him back that it's like very sad and very understandable. It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened, but he hasn't. So all I can do is wait and wait. I know it's dangerous to go out, but I can't just sit here and let this opportunity pass me by. I have to look for her, for Michio Shiraishi. But first, I need to find more soul dregs. Oh, I thought we were gonna, like... Will anything different happen? There's nothing on at this hour. I see no point in turning it on. I was just wondering. Newspaper? Did I look at this before? What's this? A newspaper? It must have fallen off the chair. Oh. Interesting. I'm worried if we read it. Now I'm wondering to not read it. Would that be to prevent a bad ending? Because if we read it and something happens because we read something in there, that's interesting. Okay, let's do it. It's a newspaper. I only leave them in here for the guests. I hardly ever read them myself. I don't think I've taken the time to go over one in years, in fact. Well, it's not like I have anything better to do. Oh. Okay. Television? I don't really watch much television. Feels as if all the information in the world gets passed through that little black box. But Father stopped them from reporting on the kidnapping back when it happened. I was glad about that. Less fuss. Need to distract myself somehow. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. Maybe reading the newspaper will take my mind off things. Okay. Well, I was planning on going through all of them anyway. Education. Everyone attends high school now, even girls. Universal education policy, they call it. The country's gotten rich enough that every child can go to school. Education is the backbone of modern society. If you want to work for a good company, you have to get into a good university. With more people in the running than ever, the competition to get into those universities has gotten fierce, though. The new generation is rebelling. Schoolyard violence and delinquency are on the rise. But my boy was too sensible to get mixed up in any of that. Oh, I don't want to read anymore. It'll only remind me of him. Okay. Ah, interesting. So there's more under television, but for now, let's look at the others. Now that everyone has more spending money to go around, people are coming up with all kinds of new diversions. It seems like only yesterday the people were flocking to the arcades to shoot aliens. But now we have these enormous theme parks and gaming machines that plug straight into our televisions. Everyone's talking about superhero series, foreign films, and movies based on the latest bestseller. Back in my day, fusion rock and folk music was all the rage. But now it's all about city pop and idols. I find it hard to care about that sort of thing anymore. There's still more, but let's go to economy. All sorts of articles about the current state of the economy. Now that the post-war boom has passed its peak, we're moving into the era of large corporations. It's about 220 to 230 yen to the dollar. Manufacturing is on the rise and exports are healthy. The dollar's down from its height and people are saying it could fall further. There's no denying how much the standard of living has improved in the past few years. It's common to own a car and television now, and supermarkets are better stocked than ever. Okay. And society. Looks like the city's biggest problem right now is pollution. I remember how the air and water used to be even more polluted. The river was covered in scum from all the sewage and industrial waste, and it stinks so badly it'd make my eyes water. Eventually people started getting sick, and it couldn't be ignored anymore. Fortunately, it's gotten better since then. Although the air around the industrial district is still filthy with gas and smog. Wow, how much do you have to say about everything? I hear the new big thing is some mascot line of delinquent birds. Mockingbirds, I think it's called. Was that what Richter was talking about? Trends seem to have such short shelf lives now, with how quickly the times are changing. I think I'm just too old to keep up anymore. It's young people who are leading the way. With their modern world views, my generation will only fall further behind. Okay. Economy again. Along with everyone flocking to the city, land prices are skyrocketing. Nowadays, most people can only dream of home ownership. The city center is going to be nothing but apartments before long. I'm not exactly a businesswoman, so this all feels like another world to me. Okay. Oops. Didn't mean to click that. If there's one thing Honjo never wants for, it's horrific crimes. They found a police officer dead in a local park just the other day. It has to be the young guy, then, who was with the other detective who's our other protagonist. Oh no, he's dead, Mr. Pouty Mouth. That's sad. Hopefully we can prevent that too, because I don't like all these nice people dropping dead. Like, come on, man. That's just the naive part of me. I know how these things go. Wait, no, it can't be because this is the same night, right? And when we went there, he was still alive. So never mind. It can't be him. So it must be a different cop who died. Hopefully that means he's still alive and he will still be alive at the end of this game. A lot of my family are in the police. I hope it wasn't anybody I knew. I don't read the news anymore. Not since last year. Brings back bad memories. Okay. Still more? Jeez. Let me just go to television. Now the comedy boom is over. All the comedians are flocking to other genres. The occult seems really popular at the moment. Look at all these paranormal specials. Really? Back to society. Suicide at local high school. I think that's the storyline for the young girl protagonist. Because they mentioned her friend committed suicide and it was weird. Oh, I remember that. A high school girl jumped off a roof about a week ago. She was bullied, I think. Or maybe it was something about exam pressure. What? But... No, this can't be right. Oh my god. The girl who committed suicide has to be Michio, right? Her name. Michio Shiraishi from Komagata High School. It can't be. Interesting. Michio Shiraishi, the same girl who witnessed my son's kidnapping, committed suicide last week? But that means Mr. Janouchi was terrified of someone who already died? Was he lying? Is that what he meant by a curse? I can't work this out on my own. Maybe Richter will know. Why won't he call? Oh, they don't have cell phones at this time. Oh, I haven't left it off the hook, have I? I'm waiting for Richter to contact me, but he hasn't. I've made sure the receiver is on the hook. It'll ring as soon as he calls. Ah! That must be him. She got jump scared. I didn't. Of course I'm going to answer. Hello, Shigima Residence. Oh. 2 a.m. now. Komagata Bridge. So he called her to meet out? I thought she would leave on her own, but he actually called her out. Richter called me out to meet him, and we came here to Komagata Bridge. Richter, there's something I need to tell you. Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. Standing around is the last thing I want to be doing right now. This is my only chance to bring back my son. I can't afford to fritter it away. Well, let's look around first. I'm still freaking paranoid. Around Komagata Bridge over the Sumida River. There's a highway on one side and a freeway on the other, but they're both deserted this late at night. Okay. Komagata Bridge. One of the bridges spanning the Sumida River, completed in 1927 as part of the reconstruction effort following the Great Kanto earthquake. It is notable both for its distinctive blue arches and the cutting-edge, for the time, techniques used in its construction. There are many bridges stretching across the Sumida River, each boasting unique structural form and design. Okay. Anything else? Surroundings. Just the river itself, I guess. The Sumida River. The water's filthy and horrid, but at night when it's still, it looks almost peaceful. Can I ask you something, ma'am? Is the Sumida River what you Honjo folks picture when you think of home? I couldn't say. All I can tell you is that I can hardly stand the sight of it. Right, should have guessed. This was where they found him, after he went missing. All alone, floating in that horrible water. All I can think is how scared he must have been. How cold he must have been. What did he ever do to deserve something so awful? I've come here every day since then, and I pray to the river to give him back. To give me back my son. Day after day after day.
You know, in olden times, people believed rivers marked where our world met the next.
Holy crap! The reason I'm freaking out, I just finished watching a Let's Play from my friend Pharaoh. Pharaoh 2091, as many of you guys know him. That was his name back in the day. He played this game called Raging Loop, and the river and what he just said, it's very important in that storyline, so wow, that's interesting. I mean, it comes from folklore in Japan, so makes sense that it's a similar storyline there.
So the act of crossing flowing water had a huge amount of spiritual significance. Back when Edo was founded, the people of Chuo saw the Sumida River the same way. They associated the far side of the river with the afterlife. That same place would later become Honjo. All their fear and revulsion accumulated there and took root. But then the Ryogoku Bridge sprang up after the Great Fire of Meireki, and just like that, Honjo was part of the city too. And as it turned from farmland into a town, the people surrounded it with man-made rivers and crisscrossed it with canals and waterways.
Weren't those to prevent flooding? That's what I was told.
They were, but that's not all they were for. Their other purpose was to contain all the corruption that had built up on the far shore, and stop it leaking through to our side of the Great Divide. Officially, they were a physical barrier, but unofficially, they were a spiritual one too.
So if I have this right, are you saying that Honjo is a place where the real world meets the afterlife?
Exactly. That's why the rite of resurrection is here, rather than anywhere else. I'm sure of it. And it's probably why the seven mysteries and their curses have survived to the modern day. And I guess that would make this spot we're standing right now, right over the river, the border between life and death. If there ever was a place where bringing back the dead might be possible, I reckon it's here. It's funny that you mentioned praying to the river. That might have done more than you'd think.
Is that supposed to make me feel better?
Just thinking aloud, ma'am.
Well, it's a nice thought.
Interesting.
Sumida River. That is long. I will let you guys read this. You can press pause and read it if you'd like. It's very interesting how this game really likes to give a lot of detailed information. Background and all that. Okay. You could look in all of that again. Standing around, last thing. Can't afford to fritter away. He's gazing down at the water. What does he see down there, I wonder? I'll go first. He might know it already, but might as well. There's something I need to tell you.
What's up?
Well, that girl, Michio Shiraishi.
The one who was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping.
That's her, well, she's dead.
She's what?
Oh, he didn't know. Okay. The student who committed suicide last week. That was her.
I heard something like that happen, but never got the name though. Talk about bad luck. We finally get a lead only to find out it's turned into a literal dead end. Unless her death was the whole reason Jinochi was so shaken up. He said she was going to curse him. Was he talking about her taking revenge from beyond the grave?
It seems like we're back where we started.
Not necessarily. That teacher knows something. I'm sure of it. At the very least, I'd put money on him having something to do with Miss Shiraishi's death. That's why he's so scared of being cursed by her.
So it sounds like we have to kind of join forces with the teenage girl. Because I feel like our storylines are connected. And I'm wondering maybe the detective too. Because like, if him and the younger detective are looking into their colleague's death, maybe their colleague was like involved somehow, or he knew or saw something and also got killed off. Because it sounds like a big cover-up, right? The fact that Harue's husband and the family's like background with the police, and the fact that they really covered up and did a horrible job in regards to her son's kidnapping and murder, it's all connected. It's all one big conspiracy leading back to her son's death. So that's what I find interesting, and I still am like, I can see the connection there with the three protagonists, but I don't know the connection to Shogo and his death. I know that the only connection right now seems to be the curse stones themselves, but I feel like if there's a thread lining all of them, it can't just be just curse stone. So Shogo has to be involved somehow as well. Interesting. I do like a overall theme or mystery that's like tying people together. There's a few other like movies and anime that I can think. The one I think of the most. I won't go too spoilery because I'm still planning on watching it with hopefully with Pharaoh and Coco someday soon. It is called Durarara, which is spelled D-U and then 3 Ra's. Ra, ra, ra. And it's one of the most interesting, fascinating, crazy anime I've ever seen. It's so good. It's similar like this, actually, because it has supernatural stuff going on. It has multiple characters all connected in the end. But at first, it seems really disconnected. But then, little by little, you see the little hints of the connections. And it's just brilliant. And I like that kind of storyline a lot. So, I'm into this. I see.
And also, something tells me he knows more about your son's kidnapping.
Huh?
In any case, I think I've got a good idea of what he's hiding. Call it a hunch.
A hunch?
Well, more of a theory. Care to take a guess?
I can guess. I can't say for certain, but Mr. Jinochi silenced her. With blackmail? She probably blackmailed him, and now he murdered her. What if...
Oh, what if Mr. Jinochi silenced Michio Shiraishi with murder?
What do you think? Wait. Wasn't that him saying that, but it was supposed to be her? Maybe that was a little typo?
I see. So you think Miss Shiraishi's death might not have been suicide. That would certainly give him a good reason to think she'd hold a grudge, but I'm not sure I buy it.
So are we saying that she did do the kidnapping and he did blackmail her? Because that's the only thing I'm not sure. Did she blackmail him or he blackmailed her?
That might be a little far-fetched.
I see. I'm sorry if I disappointed you. I'm not really cut out to play detective.
Well, no point dwelling on speculation. The truth will out in time.
No, let me go back and do it again. I could say that he blackmailed her then.
Right now, I think we need to have another chat with Mr. Jinochi.
No, nothing else. Something else about the river?
Oh, that's right. There's one more memory I have of this river. Do you mind if I tell you?
Go ahead.
It must have been about 20 years now, when I was still a schoolgirl. Back then, the Sumida River was much filthier than it is now. It was full of garbage and industrial discharge. It was scummy and slimy, and it stank. You could look out over the water and see dead cats and dogs and pigeons just floating.
Ugh! Horrible!
And one day, among all the filth and garbage, there was a piece of my...
What? Wow, what a twist. Okay.
There was a piece of my missing classmate's hand.
How is this connected? What?
It was almost a miracle when you stop to think about it. What were the chances that someone would find a part of her that was still recognizable? And that although everything but the palm had rotted away in the water, the part that was left would have an identifiable scar. And that they could tell it'd been a murder from the blade marks on the bone.
Ew. Wait. Are you talking about the Najima murders?
So you have heard of it. I'm impressed.
God, how many backstory and twists and turns are involved in this?
I assume you were but an elementary schooler at the time?
I wasn't really aware of it then. I only heard about it after the fact. Wait, do we have... No. It doesn't have their ages. Oh, man. Oh, I guess nobody's age other than the boy who died, right? Weird how it says curse echo question question question. We knew what he had. I just wish I knew their ages. But Richter is clearly younger than Harue. Maybe like 7, 8 years younger. Maybe less, I don't know. They don't look it, but clearly they are.
I had no idea the victim was a classmate of yours.
Oh, here we go. Okay. This is important, so I have to read it. Ooh, lots of reading. Alright, the Najima Murders Overview. A notorious case from over 2 decades ago involving the murder of a female high school student. It first came to the attention of the authorities when part of a human left hand was discovered floating in the Sumida River. Testing revealed it to belong to a missing female high school student. As it appeared to have been severed deliberately, the police launched a murder investigation. A large-scale search of the river was organized, but the highly polluted state of the water made this impossible. Visibility was poor, the stench was intense, and the divers quickly fell ill. Ugh. They succeeded in recovering only the victim's head and what appeared to be part of her leg before the search was called off. At the time of the incident, the Sumida River was as polluted as it had ever been. Neither fish nor shellfish could survive in it, eventually causing the annual fireworks festival to be called off indefinitely. Over the course of the search, the police discovered a number of unidentified human bones. This caused a stir among the public as several other young women had gone missing in recent years in the Tokyo area, and it was feared that they may have fallen victim to the same fate, serial killer. Forensic technologies at the time, however, were not advanced enough to determine the identities of the deceased, and so the police were unable to open any inquiries. Due to the overwhelming lack of circumstantial evidence, the investigation ground to a halt until a hitherto unrelated individual came to its attention. During a questioning about a separate incident, Fumichika Nejima, a 36-year-old shop owner with no relation to the victim, divulged details about her that had never been released to the general public. An investigation into his background was conducted, leading to his arrest. Nejima testified that he had snatched his victim from the street and confined her in the underground storeroom of his shop, which also served as his living quarters. He chose her for no special reason, but simply decided she was an opportune target on seeing her walking alone at night. After keeping her locked up for several days, he restrained her, sewed her mouth shut, and severed her fingers and toes with a box cutter while she was still conscious. Oh, this is awful. As she screamed silently behind her sealed lips, he proceeded to her wrists, her ankles, her elbows, her knees. Ooh. Working his way inward slowly and methodically. With a box cutter, that must have been so painful. His victim constantly wavered in and out of consciousness. Her ordeal continued until she died of blood loss. Nejima dismembered the rest of her body and disposed of it behind his home in the Sumida River before cleaning his storeroom and returning to his everyday routine as if nothing had happened. The brutality of his actions shocked the nation when they were eventually reported. God, this game got dark, y'all. Really dark. I mean, it's already dark, but like, damn. Once apprehended, Nejima readily divulged the details of the murder, but was less willing to explain his motive. When asked, he would only break down in tears, saying, "I don't know what came over me, I know it was wrong." In the end, the police could extract nothing more from him than expressions of remorse. Although the efficiency of his methods strongly suggested that he had committed similar crimes in the past, no corroborating evidence ever came to light. Nejima was sentenced to life in prison at his first hearing. The sentence was imposed with no appeal from the defendant. I will say, it reminds me of this. The one where he brought a dagger and cut her arm and leg off one side. Yeah. I don't know why it reminds me of this. The one-sided reed. It's still horrible. Ugh. Oh, persons of interest. Ew, that's him? Of course. They made him, why did he have to look like a stereotypical creep? Ew. The man who made headlines over 2 decades ago as the perpetrator of the brutal killings known as the Nejima murders. To be honest, it was all a bit of a blur. A wave of chaos just parting around me. Something like that. They said the rest of her body must have sunk to the bottom of the river. They combed the riverbed, but they only ever found pieces. Everything else must have rotted and flowed out to sea. Afterwards, I heard that all the divers who had been looking for her fell ill.
A sorry story for everyone involved, huh? It's funny. Everyone figures the river's filthy already, so one more piece of garbage won't hurt. But every little bit makes it worse. It's a vicious cycle. This game is clearly anti-pollution, as it should be, but still. Wow. I know I wouldn't want to go rooting around down there myself.
That's right. Which is why the riverbed is the last place anybody would go looking. Or so was the killer's thinking, I suppose. The times were changing quickly back then. Things were confusing. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. Young people were moving to Tokyo in droves. Some even ran away from home to make it in the big city. And they made easy targets for bad people. A lot of them ended up disappearing without a trace.
Huh?
You see, back then, if you chopped a body up into tiny pieces and threw it in the river, it would rot quickly and discreetly, and sink to the bottom, never to be seen again.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
They arrested him shortly after, Fumichika Nejima, the man who killed my classmate and cut her into pieces. He was so methodical about it, it couldn't have been his first crime. And people began to wonder how many other girls he'd murdered the same way. The police never found any evidence of other murders in the end. But the river knows the truth.
She's weird, y'all. I don't know. She's weird.
Like, I go from feeling sorry for her to being creeped out by her. How many corpses has it swallowed up over the years, I wonder? That same thought spread through everyone's mind and they started to avoid this area. So really, this river has been rank with corruption for decades now. Or at least that's how it seems to me. Well, was that interesting?
Well, I can see why you don't have any good memories of this river. With all that darkness lurking beneath the surface, there's no reason that you would. Still, if I may, ma'am, I'm surprised you know so much about the Nejima murders.
But how could I not? After all, I was the one who found the hand.
Yeah.
The police actually wrote me a thank you letter. They said it was only thanks to me that they managed to bring Nejima to justice. That was the only time my father ever said he was proud of me.
Huh. I guess it just wasn't the killer's day.
Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for it. Interesting, because now it's almost making me think she's, like, saying that he could have been, like, that could have been the motive to get her son. But isn't he in life in prison? So, can't be, right? Anyway, I think we'll leave this episode right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. And until next time, have a nice day. Bye.